How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? This is world. This is Red Zone News. Check it out, man. I'm just flabbergasted about Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders. When I seen Bernie Sanders, when he was going against Obama and the Clintons and stuff like that, I really was kind of rooting for Bernie Sanders. Because Bernie Sanders looked like an upstanding dude until I saw this. Don't get me wrong. Okay? Bernie Sanders declines to back reparations. Well, damn. I mean, didn't this man march with Martin Luther King and all that stuff like that? That's what I heard in the first, when he was running for president against Obama and the Clinton. Yeah, he marched with Martin Luther King, but he's against reparations. That really is shocking. And what kills it is a lot of people talk about they are for reparations, but these politicians for no reparations. Okay, they are not in for reparations. And in my opinion, these politicians have a plan for African American, and they don't have nothing to do with no freaking reparations. Okay, and as simple as that. Black African Americans like a toolbox, like an emergency backup plan, just in case this country goes to hell, like broke. How much money we spend all the time. And then they're already doing it, sending us to jails and stuff, and getting us working for pennies an hour. Okay? And that's what they're doing right now. They're legalizing slavery right in front of our face. All they're doing is putting us in jail, and most of us, we about 70% of the prison population. That's pretty much crazy. Okay, and we're working on roads, we're working on highways, we're working on all kinds of places. We're working on parks, cleaning up parks and all that stuff like that. And that labor is damn near free, and somebody's pocketing a lot of darn money. Okay, but to give black people reparations for 400 years of slavery, okay, in a lot of people's mind, that's madness. And when I've grown in this country, it's not about honor. It's not about doing the right thing. Okay, America is not about doing the right thing. All right, and so and as America continues not to be doing the right thing, its people continue not to do the right thing. Okay? And this is what we at. They're giving us false hope on some kind of reparations. All these politicians are jumping on reparations. Yeah, reparations. Yeah, reparations. Okay? I give it to Sanders at one point. Bernie Sanders. He's honest. All these other people. When these people get into presidency, and they become a president of the United States of America, they're going to start getting senile about reparations. Okay? And as simple as that. We've seen it already. It's amazing how black people didn't ask Obama for reparations. Okay? But the problem is, Obama didn't do nothing for black people. Alright. Alright, Bernie Sanders declines to back reparations. Early 2020, Democrat primary has been occupied lately by a surprisingly polarizing question. Should the United States offer reparations to descendants of slaves in the form of reparations? Already, several candidates, notably Senator Kamala Harris and Cory Booker and Elizabeth Warren, had said yes. Bernie Sanders isn't too sure. I think that we have got to do is pay attention to the stress of the communities, black communities, Latino communities, and white communities. And as president, I pledge to do that, Sanders said when asked about the issue on ABC's and The View on Friday. Now, if a black president didn't do that to help the black community and the Hispanic community, which they never did, I mean, you go all the way down to Reagan. They never do. The hood gets worse. Okay, the View Sunny Houston went on pressed him further and asked if he will back reparations in the form of money explicitly. I think right now our job is to address the crisis facing the American people and our communities, and I think there are better ways to do than just write out a check, he said in response. Well, how the hell are you going to do all that stuff and what requires you to write out a check? Okay? All right, any crisis, any problem in the minority community has to be solved with people with boots on the ground, and that costs money, and that, in fact, you have to write a check. This isn't the first time Sanders has shielded away from back reparations. During the CNN town hall earlier this week, Sanders instead noted that he supports the legislation from Rep. Jim Clyburn that focuses federal resources on communities that have a high level of poverty. Several 2020 candidates support reparations, but not immediately clear what that means. End quote. For now, the definition of reparations in the 2020 context is murky. At the moment, reparations appear to be any policy candidate is willing to call reparations. A recent New York Times story by Esteem W. Harrington found Warren, Harris, and Booker backed race-conscious policies in some form. The Washington Post left Steen following this up by asking candidates directly if they support reparations. Those three followed with yes, though it was unclear that the policy might actually look like. As the Associated Press, Aaron Ains, white writer, representative has been long defined as some type of direct payment to former slaves and their descendants, but clearly the candidates that definition has become more amorphous. Harris, for example, has told the news outlet that Grip that she sees the LIFT Act, a bill she proposed that will offer middle-class families a massive expansion of their earned income tax credit, as legislation that would uplift 60% of black families in poverty. When you look at the reality of who will benefit from certain policies, it will directly benefit black children, black families, and black homeowners because the disparities are so significant, she said. Booker representative has suggested that his baby bonds proposal, which would guarantee all newborn saving account efforts to limit the racial wealth gap, could be a form of reparations. Warren, too, has highlighted legislation that will provide help to minorities in making a down payment on a home. Sanders indicated on Friday that he does not back a direct payment to descendants of slaves, but it is increasingly unclear whether other 2020 candidates' definition of reparations explicitly include that either. Well, basically, the government and its politicians are going on a simple pattern. It's the pimp to the hoe. And African Americans are the hoe. Okay, and as simple as that. I mean, the hoe gives them all this money and stuff like that, you know, give it to the pimp, and the pimp gives the hoe just enough to eat and maybe freshen up. They're not going to write you no darn check. They'll bring up programs and all that stuff that won't do a darn thing and won't last at all. But they're not going to write you a check. Writing you a check solves the problem. And they are not about solving the problem. They're about perpetuating the problem. They're about expanding the problem until they get to the point where whatever plans they have for African Americans is fulfilled. They're not interested in helping African Americans, but they need African Americans for some reason. They need African Americans in poverty. They need African Americans killing themselves. They need African Americans to hate each other. They need African Americans to look up to them like God. Because this is the only race that does that, mostly. So, they want you to go to Africa, but don't want you to go to Africa. They hate you, but then again, they don't hate you. That is pimping. We are being pimped as a race. Okay? On a large freaking scale. Anything you do wrong, anything, I mean, they beat you down with stuff and then give you a little something to pick yourself up. But they won't write you that check to get you out of the poverty that they put you in. You're still in poverty. Your self-esteem is still low. Your self-hate is still low.
The last man just walked
to the point of trying to kill each other.
She's been married.
This is Red Zone News.
She was with for a long
signing
time.
off.
He was just a nigga that was getting her last few years.